Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you're all fine. I'm teacher Fabi Montanari, and I'm here today in this special Pop the Teacher to talk about the common challenges to speak English at work. Okay, so if you're getting to the channel here now, if you're getting to the page here now, welcome. Just click on the like button so that I know that you enjoy the content I bring here. If you have any questions, you can ask me anytime, okay? And then whenever it's possible, I will stop and answer that for you. But this is part of the warm up period for our main classes from Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho. Before I continue, I would like to know if you prefer me to speak English or Portuguese with you. What do you prefer, English or Portuguese? If you don't say anything, I'm going to talk in English. But if you have problems to understand that, then because this is not an English class, this is the warm up for the main classes, and I really need you to understand some key points that will make the difference in your learning process. So um, everybody's in English here, so okay then, let's speak in English. So everybody's speaking English here. All right then. So we'll continue. So people, this is the point here, okay? When we talk about common challenges, and okay, now I got on YouTube too, someone saying, Carol saying English, that's okay. 2 points. I'm almost voiceless, okay? And I need somebody said here, English, mas vai mais devagar. Okay, then. Sometimes I really speak and speak too. And okay, I will try to slow down. I'll breathe in, breathe out. I will meditate before I continue speaking, okay? But that's it. The talk today is about these challenges. Some people ask me, Fabi, do you teach only business English, or do you teach everybody, or do you teach English in general? Of course, from my experience, I can teach all kinds of English. But why have I decided to concentrate on this, what we say in Portuguese, Inglês para o trabalho? Because I know that it can be quite challenging and really painful for someone who needs to speak English to get a better professional chance, a better professional opportunity, and it is stuck because this person doesn't speak English. And I have seen that in family with close friends and really uh, par- uh, close relatives. I was going to say parents. Parents and relatives are false friends. Okay, so I meant relatives, and this I wanted to say. I almost said parents, but I wanted to say relatives, and it happens to everybody. Okay, don't worry about that. It happens to everybody. And when you need to speak English, there is, if you think, and we are going to have one day that we're going to talk about that. But if you need to speak English, all of us, we started. Uh, the first contact we had with English, most of us, it was in a book, in an English class, mainly at school. And then, okay, we have that uh, desire that with the English in our classes, we would be able to really communicate. And even if you had a good English program in your school, in your regular school, which is almost, it's really rare to happen because English programs in general at schools, they are tailored to help you get approved in a test in the end of the semester, in the end of the bimester, in the end of the year, or for you to succeed in a test like ENEM or any related tests. So first thing you need to understand that is that English may be a base for you to continue your learning process, but it's very distant from what you really have to do. Let me do one thing here. Let's do one thing here. I got it. I don't have the pyramid here, but if you have seen my classes, my son, one of them loves doing that. So I have, I think, 7 or 8 cubes here at home, and like those different ones. There is one that's a pyramid, but it's not here. Probably he's playing with it. So, but let's think of English as this cubes here. So speaking English is this, really organized. Okay, this is speaking English. You have this cube here, and everything is organized, not by me. Okay, speaking English is easier than organizing these faces, all these sides here. But what we have is that when we learn English at school, you're probably learning this side of speaking English. And when you need to speak English at work, you need to develop this side. But all during all your life, all the lights came to this side here. Even if you went to traditional schools, they were here. So do you understand? So all your effort, all your energy, all the lights were on this side. And if the light is on this side, what happens to this side here? It's in the dark. It's physics. Okay? So why did I decide to talk about English at work? Because I want to bring you to this side of your speaking English fluently, to the light. Does that make sense? And when we bring it to the light, probably it's not organized. It's not as beautiful as 9 squares of orange boxes. It's all messed up. And you don't know how to organize it. And my son will kill me in the end of the class. And then he'll say, Mom, what did you do? I said, yes, I did that. I messed it up. So probably by now, your English is somehow, you know, some elements of speaking English. Maybe you have some elements from school, but everything's messed up. You see? Everything's messed up. And you don't know how to organize it. And this is what I want to do. I want to help you get this organized. I want to show you the techniques that will help you have that. And the challenge is when the pressure of speaking English at work, people say, Fabi, don't you teach people to travel when they need English for the immigration moment, for you to check in a hotel? Of course I do. But when you are talking about traveling, if you're planning some vacations with your family to anywhere abroad, imagine you're going to Disney with your family. It's like a relaxing moment. And even if you have problems to communicate, it's fun in the end. Because it was a moment with your family and friends. But if you make a mistake and you cannot really communicate during an interview, if you are invited to join a job interview process and you cannot express your ideas or your experience or how you can help the company to solve their problems, because your communication in English is not clear enough, then this is a problem. And the pressure over your shoulders for not speaking English at work is a lot bigger than the pressure of traveling to Disney with your family, even if it's the first time, and even if nobody in the group speaks English. Even if you have to go shopping in Orlando or Miami or anywhere close, and okay, I need to go shopping. If someone wants to buy something and the other side wants to sell, You are going to make a deal. It doesn't matter the quality of your English. It will happen. But if this happens in a moment of a crucial negotiation in your company, then it is a big problem, because your career will be affected. Your team may be impacted by your lack of English. Your professional development will be impacted for sure because of that. Do you get it? So the challenges of speaking English at work is controlling the pressure, because I know how uh, um, how hard it can be. So this is to control the emotions and understand that you are a foreigner speaker of English. One of the big mistakes that I see my students and keep them stuck is when they say, teacher, but I can say so many good things in Portuguese and I can't say that in English. Why is that? Because you are a native speaker of Portuguese. Because you went to school in Portuguese. You had literature classes in Portuguese. You had grammar classes in Portuguese. You talk to people everywhere in Portuguese. So the number of hours you had contact with Portuguese language is a lot bigger, is a lot higher than the number of hours you had of English. Even if you can understand pretty well some things in English, but you cannot compare your communication skill. You cannot put your communication skills in English at the same step as it is in Portuguese. If in Portuguese you communicate really well in Portuguese, probably in English, you need to consider one or two steps lower. Okay? Very good. Hobson said, hi, hello teacher from Florianopolis. Very good, I like that. I like Florianopolis. Florianopolis. Beautiful place. So, this is the difference. This is the challenge when you have that. Okay? So consider this when you are studying English or you're developing a study plan. You need to consider that, because we always come from basic structures to more complex structures. And we need to look, okay, and the mistake is you want to speak in a beautiful and complex way as you can do it in Portuguese, but you don't have you haven't practiced enough for you to be able to do that. Yes? Any comments here? Let me see. Someone wrote something here. Let me come back to the comments and find. Jota Muniz said that my main difficulty with English at work is the accent. I work with many Indians and I have the impression that my English is very bad, but I can understand others' accent except the Indian English. And it's pretty challenging. I had a boss. I worked for a multinational company, for a global company. And one of the bosses, the VP of the company, was from India. And the first and my colleagues, my workmates, they knew that I was an English teacher on my uh, free time. In my free time, I was teaching English, and during the job, during the days, I used to talk in English to the suppliers and to the teams, so they knew that I could communicate pretty well in English by the time, 20 years ago, 20 more than 20 years, yes, around 20 years ago. And then one day there was an announcement in the company and saying that we were going to have a new VP, vice president, for that segment. And okay, he came to the company, he introduced himself. So he came to the department, and everybody in the department stood up from our desks, and we made a circle around him. So he was in the middle of the department, talking to everybody, introducing himself, saying, okay, like the welcome message. He was coming from the United States, but he was born in India. And okay, he talked. He tried to talk slowly because he knew he was talking to Brazilian speakers. Most of people could understand somehow English, but they couldn't really speak. And in the end, people looked at me like with the eyes, like, Fabi, save us. What is he saying? Said people. It's not because I speak English that I understand this guy. I'm on the same boat as you. I really didn't get 50% of what he said. Most of things I didn't get. So at first, Indian accent may sound really challenging for us, but the good news is that once you get used to that, you can communicate with them. So after a few meetings with him, after the first contacts, I started understanding what he wanted to say. Okay, um, so that's it. Okay, so this is the point. Another situation, and people say, "Oh, why do everybody need to speak English?" Because they need to consider that English is lingua franca. Okay, it's used for international communications. It's That's the way it is. And this is the good news too, because once you understand, native speakers do not expect you as a foreigner speaker to speak as them. They totally understand because in their mind, and I have been to the United States a few months ago. I participated in an event, a corporate event, with Native American speakers, and they don't expect us to speak like them. In fact, it doesn't matter if you are having the minimum connection with them using their language. They are really thankful for that because they say, "Oh, you speak English so well," even if we feel that the English is not so good. You know that sensation? "Oh, I'm sorry for my English." They don't care about that because you can communicate a lot better in their language than they can communicate with us in our language. So don't worry about that. Okay? Don't worry. Got used here? Yes. Acostumar-se? Yes. You get used to the accent. Okay, people? Other questions here. We have two questions here. Eliedson Moreira said, esse ano eu comecei a ouvir muita coisa em inglês, meu listening melhorou muito, mas eu percebo que a legenda atrapalha o listening. É normal? Yes. And this is the point here. Quando coloco legenda em inglês, parece que o cérebro está trabalhando dobrado. And I'm going to talk about this. If you really want to improve your listening, you should not use any kind of subtitles. You should not say that, do that. You should watch it. If you really want to train your listening, do not use subtitles. When you are using subtitles, when you activate the subtitles, you are in fact reading English. So in this case, of course, subtitles in English is better than subtitles in Portuguese. But if it's a TV series or a movie that you have already seen, go for English without subtitles. Only English, English, English. I will talk more about that, okay? Today, I won't be able to stay a lot of time with you here because I have class in 5 minutes from now with the conversation class with the students. And I can talk more about that. I can talk about this tomorrow, okay? So tomorrow, 6:30, we have our second live, and I can talk more about that because tomorrow I have more time for that, okay? Marcus Late said here, do you have a tip to improve the listening skills when communicating with natives in English? My big issue is to understand perfectly what they are saying, mainly when I'm in UK. Yes. The thing that will make the total difference is one of the bases of my method, in fact. And I'm saying that I have a student yesterday. I was really happy after we finished the class. And he can communicate really well. He speaks English in every day. He's like a businessman. He talks in English, but he was a little bit uncomfortable when he needed to negotiate in English. And he said, "Teacher, I don't really understand everything." And in a meeting and asking them to repeat or not being sure of what they said, it makes me uncomfortable. And yesterday, I taught him one of the techniques, and then I wish I had recorded that. But then he said like that, and he spoke in Portuguese. Said, "Meu Deus, por que que ninguém me falou isso antes? Isso é libertador, teacher." And then I said, "I wish I was recording you." It's like, "Teacher, this makes the total difference in my communication now. I don't need more vocabulary. I don't need more grammar. I just need to understand this." It's like, yes. So this is part of the method. Okay, I have a special bonus class for the students, and this is the key for you to understand. When you say you have listening problems, you don't really have listening problems. You have pronunciation problems. This is the basis. So from this moment, when you understand that, each of you that say I have listening problems, if we go further, you don't have pronunciation problem. You don't have listening problems unless you have a really unless it's a medical condition. You don't listen. Otherwise, it's not a listening problem. I'm almost sure it's a pronunciation problem that's not really consistent in your speaking yet. Because from what you wrote here, you have a very good knowledge of English. But there are some points that it's going to be easier once you understand these points, and then we work on that. It's really fast to do that once you understand it. Okay? When I speak with other non-natives, I understand perfectly, but with natives, yes, that's it, because natives have some connections in the speaking. I will bring this tomorrow. I really have to go, but let me take notes here. I want to see you tomorrow. I wasn't going to talk about this, but tomorrow I will. I will give you, like, for example, I'm just taking notes because otherwise I will forget. When you say, there is a story of a guy that we thought he was from Syria, and he was a Syrian refugee from the war here in Brazil, and he was in São Paulo, and a church decided to bring to sponsor him to stay in Brazil after he left Syria. And he had some classes with us at school. And one day he came to school and he asked his teacher, he was having Portuguese lessons. And he said to his teacher, "Teacher, what is sensa? What is sensa?" He spoke a little bit of English. He was fluent in Arabic. He spoke some English, and he was learning basic Portuguese. And then he came to class. He used to come by bus to the school. And then he said, "Teacher, what is sensa?" Sense. And then the teacher, of course, couldn't understand. And then he said, "Where do you listen to this, sense?" And then the guy said, "Oh, in the bus, when I'm about to leave the bus, people are trying to get out of the bus, they say sense." And then he said, "It's not sense, it's com licença." But for him, for us, it's not if any of us take a bus and somebody comes to us and says sense, we know that they're trying to get out of the bus. They need to go outside the bus. But for him, it was totally unimaginable. So then we taught him that it was com licença instead of sense. And it happens for us too. That's why it's easier for us to understand non-natives than it is to understand natives, because natives just speak the way it is. And non-natives have these addictions to speak with local, regional reference of pronunciation. And we are going to work more on that, okay? So, people, thank you for being here today. I really hope it makes sense for you. I'll be back tomorrow, okay? 6:30 p.m. I'll be here tomorrow, and we continue this talk, okay? I'll see you. Bye-bye.